I recently asked immigrants on social media what really annoys you in Portugal. And not the obvious things like bureaucracy, taxes, or rental prices, but little things that start get to you when you've lived here for a year, not just a month or two. I analyzed all the comments and messages, and today I'll share with you what actually annoys immigrants in Portugal. Some of the things I agree with, some of the things I don't, but I wanted to share all the opinions. So if this sounds interesting, keep watching. And please don't forget to subscribe, it will really help my channel to grow. And the first thing that a lot of people talked about is weather. Yeah, sounds surprising, right? Portugal is supposed to be this warm paradise with 300 sunny days a year. What's there to complain about? But actually, it's not that simple. A lot of people said that it's very hard to get used to the weather here. During the same day, it can be plus 30 in the sun and plus 15 with cold ocean weather during the night. And this cold wind combining with the sun during winter is actually not so pleasant. You can end up putting on and taking off the jacket like several times during your walk. It's hot in the sun, but then you get super cold in the shade or when it's windy. And actually, next to the ocean, the weather changes a lot. This year, it was wild. From February to May, we had days when it was 10 minutes of sunshine, 10 minutes of heavy rain, and it was like this for 4 months. Also, UV index in Portugal is very high, even during winter, so don't forget your sunscreen. If the forecast says plus 15, in the sun most probably it's gonna be plus 25. Once I even got sunburned just sitting outside drinking coffee for an hour in January. Now I always have sunscreen in my purse and I apply it religiously every few hours. Some people also mentioned cold ocean, and yes, water rarely gets above 18 degrees, but I kinda got used to it. When it's a hot day during summer, I even like it. It's really refreshing and energizing. Another thing people often mention is the noise. Honestly, for me as a Slavic person, Portuguese sound a little bit too loud, but what all the immigrants are talking about is the background noise in Lisbon. It's never quiet. You can always hear the sirens, the planes landing, cars honking on these tiny narrow streets. And yes, Portuguese people love honking, especially if you don't move the same second the traffic light turns green. But what personally annoys me the most is the garbage trucks at night. I understand why they don't come during the day, but honestly after midnight I really would love to sleep, not to hear this sound of this machine coming and picking up the garbage. Every single night between midnight and 1 a.m. the garbage truck comes under my window. I am a very deep sleeper, but that's exactly why I started sleeping with earplugs, because I live in a city center in a very old building, so I can hear everything. And since we already started talking about driving, another thing that annoys people in Portugal is how people drive here. Let me tell you, turn signals don't exist in Portugal. People rarely use them. Eventually you start guessing intuitively if the car in front of you is going to turn or not. And for some reason, Portuguese drivers really think if they give you this sign, then they can do anything. Didn't let a pedestrian cross? Run a red light. Almost hit someone on a crosswalk. Driving in Portugal can be really hard, at least for me, and sometimes it's quite dangerous because you can actually drink and drive here, which for me, as for a Slavic, is insane. Drivers can easily drink half a bottle of wine or even the whole bottle and get behind the wheel. So you really have to be careful on the road, especially on a Friday evening or weekends. The thing that tourists admire but immigrants hate is Calçada. This traditional tile that covers sidewalks in Portugal. They're beautiful with all the different patterns, but it's also extremely slippery, especially after the rain. I once slipped, twisted my ankle and had to walk with crutches for 2 months. I honestly think Portuguese don't like it either. Have you seen sidewalks in Lisbon? They're often uneven and very narrow. And it gets worse. Calçada also comes with surprises. Unfortunately, not all the dog owners pick up after their dogs, although there are actually fines for this in Portugal. Another thing that at first feels strange but then just gets annoying, the number of abandoned buildings. People complain that anything can fall from this abandoned building and no one cares. I personally think that these semi-abandoned buildings really affect the look of the city. And it's not that Portuguese people don't care about it, I think they are annoyed too. But behind every abandoned building there's usually a story. Sometimes Sometimes the owners are in legal fight and can't start the construction. Sometimes they just can't be found, or they don't have money to renovate, or they're waiting for the permission to rebuild the building for years because you cannot really touch the historical facades, so you have to get the approval from the government. But that process of getting the approval can take forever. You know, the country is pretty relaxed in general. Again, for me as a Slavic, or for some immigrants coming, let's say, from America, it's a little bit odd because people don't really want to work as much as we do. So it's 5 p.m., they get up, they leave the office, there's no culture of staying late, working on the weekends. Amazing work-life balance. And if sometimes you get frustrated with how people work here, just go outside, sit on the esplanada, drink your wine and relax. That's the advice I always give to people, and I follow it myself, because fighting this is pointless. So just relax and enjoy your life. But if someone does fight in this country, it's the transport workers. Constant strikes. Trains, metro, airports, and the worst thing is that you never know when it's going to happen. Imagine, you are having a weekend getaway and then there's an airport strike, so they cancel your flight or postpone it to another day. So it's just pointless to go because the next day you have to come back. Funny thing is that metro workers really like to strike during big public events in the city. For example, Web Summit. 50,000 people come to the city for this event and the metro is closed. But to be fair, public transport in Lisbon really improved since I moved here 7 years ago. So yeah, it's not as bad. And finally, Portuguese cuisine. This one came up a lot. Immigrants complain that they don't like eggy pastries, all this meat or fish or whatever, and honestly, I cannot agree with this. I love Portuguese food. I really like these authentic Portuguese restaurants like Tascas, you know, when you have this grilled fish, it's cheap, it's tasty, it's amazing, everything you need. But if you don't like it so much, there are plenty of restaurants that other immigrants open, and you can go and eat the food from the country where you came from, or any other international food. You don't have to eat Portuguese food here. So this is not a normal video about downsides of living in Portugal. These things you can really understand only after living in the country for a while. Do you have something like this in the country where you live, or maybe you live in Portugal and something here annoys you so much? Please leave comments down below and don't forget to subscribe. It will really help my channel. I'll see you in the next video.